It all happened when I went to my buddy Alex's house for a sleepover. We were just a couple of regular teenagers, looking forward to a fun time hanging out and playing games. Everything started off normal, but then things took a turn for the freaky. It was like this strange feeling settled in the air, and it sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, you know? But then we heard this tapping on the window. I tried to brush it off, thinking it was probably just some tree branches hitting the glass, but it didn't stop. It kept getting louder and more persistent, and that's when my heart started racing. Alex and I went to check it out, hoping it was nothing serious. But when we looked outside, there was nothing there. No branches, no animals, not even a gust of wind. It was totally silent, and that made it even scarier. We laughed it off, trying to convince ourselves that it was all in our heads. But then we heard these weird whispers coming from outside. I'm telling you, it was like something out of a horror movie. Now, let me tell you, we weren't easily scared, but that night was something else. We locked all the doors and windows, hoping to keep whatever was out there from getting in. But things got even more unsettling when we couldn't reach Alex's parents. It felt like we were in some kind of nightmare, and we were all on edge. We decided to stay in Alex's room, huddled together, listening for any sign of what was happening. Every little creak or sound made us jump out of our skin. It was like this thick tension was hanging in the air. My heart was pounding like crazy, and I swear you could feel the fear in the room. We were just praying that whatever it was wouldn't find a way in. And then, just when we thought it couldn't get any worse, we heard the front door knob jiggling. Someone or something was trying to get in, and that's when panic really set in. We held our breath, waiting for whatever it was to break in. It felt like an eternity, but then we heard it. The sound of a car pulling into the driveway. Thank goodness it was Alex's parents! We rushed downstairs to tell them what had happened, but when they checked outside, there was no one there. Not a single soul. His parents tried to calm us down, saying it was probably just some pranksters messing around. But dude, I know what I heard and felt, and it was no prank. Let me tell you, that night was one I'll never forget. We didn't sleep a wink, and I couldn't wait to get out of there the next day. Hey, so I need to tell you all about this seriously terrifying experience I had at my friend Sarah's house. It was supposed to be a fun sleepover, you know, just us girls, hanging out and having a good time. But things took a dark turn, and I still get chills just thinking about it. It was a typical Friday night, and we were all super excited for the sleepover. We ordered pizza, watched cheesy rom-coms, and just had a blast. Sarah's parents were out of town, but her uncle, who I had never met before, was staying over to keep an eye on things. At first, everything seemed cool. He seemed like a regular guy, cracking jokes and all. But as the night went on, I started to notice something strange. He kept lingering around us, like he was always in the same room, even when we moved around the house. I tried to brush it off at first, thinking maybe he was just being friendly or something. But his gaze made me feel uncomfortable, like he was watching our every move. Later that night, we decided to watch a scary movie because, you know, it's a sleepover tradition. But little did I know that the real horror was about to unfold. As the movie played, I noticed Sarah's uncle sitting way too close to me, and it made me uneasy. I tried to ignore it, but then he started making weird comments, like how I looked pretty and stuff. It gave me the creeps and I wanted to leave, but I didn't want to ruin the night for everyone else. After the movie, we all headed to Sarah's room to crash. But I couldn't shake off this feeling of being watched. I told Sarah about her uncle's creepy behaviour, and she got worried too. We decided to lock the bedroom door, just in case. But that didn't stop him. In the middle of the night, we heard footsteps outside the room. I could feel my heart pounding, and Sarah was trembling beside me. Then we heard the doorknob being jiggled like someone was trying to get in. I was terrified, frozen with fear. Sarah grabbed her phone and called her neighbour, who was like a big brother to her. Thankfully, he rushed over and scared the uncle away. I was so relieved when he finally left, but the fear lingered. I couldn't believe someone I barely knew would do something so creepy and scary. The next day, we told Sarah's parents everything, and they were furious. They took it seriously and promised to handle the situation. I've never been so scared in my life, and I can't help but wonder what would have happened if Sarah's neighbour hadn't come to the rescue. I wanted to share this experience with you all, not to scare you, but to remind you to always trust your gut feeling. If something feels off, don't ignore it. Stay safe out there and take care of each other. And if any of you have ever been through something similar, please share your stories too. It's important to stick together and look out for one another. It was a regular Friday night, and we decided to hang out at his place like we usually do. Little did I know that things were about to take a dark turn. We were just chilling in Mark's living room, playing video games and having a good time, when we heard this strange noise coming from upstairs. It was like a soft, eerie whisper, and it sent shivers down my spine. Mark tried to brush it off, saying it was probably just the house settling or something. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I mean, it didn't sound like anything I'd ever heard before. Then, out of nowhere, Mark's younger sister, Emily, burst into the room looking pale as a ghost. She was shaking and had this terrified look in her eyes. She said she saw a figure standing at the end of the hallway upstairs. But when she went to check, there was no one there. I could see the fear in her eyes, and it made my heart sink. Mark and I tried to calm her down, thinking she might have just imagined it, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. We decided to go check it out ourselves, just to put Emily's mind at ease. As we climbed the stairs, the air felt heavy, like there was some kind of presence in the house. And then, as we reached the hallway, we saw it. A dark figure standing at the end of the corridor, just like Emily described. My heart was pounding in my chest, and I could feel the fear taking over. I wanted to run, but I couldn't move. It was like my feet were glued to the floor. Mark was just as scared, but we knew we had to confront whatever it was. As we got closer, the figure seemed to fade away, disappearing into thin air. It was like it was never there in the first place. I couldn't believe my eyes. We searched the whole house, but there was no sign of anyone or anything. It was like we were chasing a ghost. I felt this overwhelming sense of dread, like we were being watched. That night, we all huddled together in the living room, afraid to go back upstairs. It felt like whatever was in that house was still lurking around, and we didn't want to risk encountering it again. I don't know what it was that we saw that night, but I'll never forget the fear and unease I felt. It's the kind of experience that sticks with you, you know? Has anyone else ever had a similar encounter? I can't shake the feeling that there's something strange going on at Mark's house. Let me know if you've experienced anything like this, and maybe we can figure out what's really going on.